It is still dark when the train begins to move. Somewhere in occupied Europe, before dawn, steam hisses softly in the cold air as a German locomotive idles on a siding. The engineer pulls his gloves tighter, breath fogging in front of his face, listening to the slow, metallic heartbeat of the engine. Coal has already been shoveled into the firebox. Black, ordinary-looking chunks sit inside the tender like they have 1,000 times before. Nothing about this morning feels different. If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below. And yet somewhere inside that firebox, hidden among the real coal, lies a weapon so small, so simple, and so perfectly disguised that no one will see it coming. In a few minutes, the engine will roar to life, and then, without warning, it will tear itself apart from the inside. You can almost feel the tension hanging in the frozen air. Because this train is already doomed, and no one aboard knows it yet. By 1942, Germany's war machine lives and breathes on steel rails. Every shell fired on the Eastern Front, every tank repaired, every soldier fed, depends on trains running on time. Coal is the fuel of conquest. Without coal, locomotives stop. Without locomotives, the army starves. The German High Command understands this better than anyone, which is why railways are guarded, inspected and repaired at all hours. Bridges are watched, tracks are patrolled, switching yards are fortified, but the one thing no guard ever questions is coal itself. Coal is everywhere. Coal is boring. Coal is trusted. And that trust is exactly what makes it dangerous. The idea does not come from a general or a politician. It comes from quiet men working in workshops, far from the front lines, in thinking not about glory, but about physics, pressure and timing. Somewhere in Britain, intelligence officers and engineers stare at maps covered in rail lines stretching across France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, and deep into occupied Eastern Europe. Bombers can hit rail yards, but repairs are fast. Saboteurs can blow bridges, but guards grow tighter every week. The question becomes simple and terrifying. How do you destroy a train without ever touching the tracks? The answer arrives almost by accident. You hide the bomb inside the fuel. The device is small enough to fit in one hand. It is shaped carefully, moulded and painted to look exactly like a lump of coal. Its weight feels right. Its surface feels right. Even the dust it leaves behind looks real. Inside, however, is not coal at all. Inside is high explosive, designed to detonate only after being shoveled into a locomotive's firebox. When the heat reaches a certain point, the charge explodes. Not outward, but inward. The blast shatters the boiler, sending superheated steam, metal fragments, and pressure in every direction at once. The locomotive does not derail. It does not slowly fail. It dies instantly, violently, often killing or badly injuring the crew. The beauty of the weapon is not its power, but its invisibility. A bomb hidden in coal does not need perfect timing. It does not need remote detonation. It does not even need the saboteur to be nearby. Once planted, it waits patiently, travelling with the train itself. Every mile it moves, every station it passes increases the damage it will cause. The farther it goes, the deeper into the German supply network it penetrates. And when it finally explodes, the destruction spreads far beyond a single engine. Rail lines close, timetables collapse, cargo rots in sidings. Frontline units wait for supplies that never arrive. Getting the fake coal into German hands is the next challenge. The answer lies with resistance networks scattered across occupied Europe. These are not professional soldiers. They are railway workers, dockhands, miners, clerks, and mechanics. Men and women who know the rhythm of German logistics because they are forced to serve it every day. They know when coal shipments arrive. They know which depots are poorly guarded. They know which foreman looks the other way for the right reason. Small packets of fake coal move quietly from hand to hand, hidden in sacks, toolboxes or pockets. No dramatic firefights, no explosions in the night, and just ordinary people doing dangerous things very carefully. One such shipment moves through northern France in late 1942. The date is never written down, because writing things down gets people killed. The coal yard looks no different than it did the day before. German soldiers smoke cigarettes near a guard hut, boots crunching on frozen gravel. A worker bends to lift a shovel, slipping a single false lump into the pile as casually as if it were nothing at all. His heart pounds, but his face stays blank. If anyone notices, there is no escape, but no one does, because no one ever expects coal to fight back. Days later, somewhere east of Paris, a freight train carrying ammunition and spare parts pulls out of a rail yard just after sunrise. The weather is clear, the engine is in good condition. The crew has done this run before. As the fire burns hotter, one of the false coal pieces slides deeper into the flames. The temperature rises, metal expands, and then, without warning, the boiler ruptures in a violent blast. Steel peels open like paper. Steam scalds everything it touches. The engine collapses in place, blocking the line. Cars jackknife behind it. The crew never has a chance. German investigators arrive within hours. At first, they suspect poor maintenance. Boilers explode. It happens. But then it happens again and again. Different lines, different regions, engines inspected just days earlier, crews trained and experienced. There is no pattern that makes sense. Bridges are intact, tracks are untouched, and yet trains keep dying. Slowly, an unsettling idea begins to spread among railway officials. Something is wrong with the coal. Inspections increase. Coal piles are searched. Random samples are broken apart. Nothing is found. The fake coal is too rare, too perfectly disguised. One piece hidden among thousands is almost impossible to detect unless you know exactly what you are looking for. And even then, you have to break it open. No one wants to waste fuel. Coal is already in short supply. Every delay hurts the war effort. So the trains keep running. By early 1943, reports reach Berlin describing unexplained boiler explosions across occupied Europe. Engineers argue. Some blame sabotage. Others blame inferior fuel. Accusations fly between departments. Meanwhile, the explosions continue. Each destroyed locomotive is more than just a machine lost. It is weeks of repair work, scarce materials, and skilled labour pulled away from other tasks. Replacement engines must be rerouted. Timetables are rewritten. Entire rail corridors slow to a crawl. The damage multiplies far beyond the initial blast. What makes the weapon especially cruel is its psychological effect. Engineers begin to fear their own engines. Every time coal is shoveled into the firebox, there is a moment of hesitation. Every strange sound triggers panic. Productivity drops. Crews work slower. Some refuse certain assignments. Rumours spread through depots and barracks. Coal, once a symbol of reliability, becomes something to distrust. And fear, unlike steel, does not need replacement parts. The German response grows more desperate. Coal supplies are centralised. Guards are increased. Resistance workers are arrested, interrogated, executed. Yet the explosions never stop entirely. The sabotage weapon is too simple, too cheap, too adaptable. A one fake lump can destroy a locomotive worth thousands of times more. One quiet act can ripple across an entire front. By mid-1943, the weapon has proven itself beyond expectation. Hundreds of locomotives are damaged or destroyed. Some estimates will later suggest that up to 1,000 trains are affected directly or indirectly by coal sabotage. The exact number is impossible to confirm because not every explosion is recorded as sabotage. Many are quietly listed as mechanical failures, buried in paperwork, lost in the chaos of war. And that perhaps is the most terrifying part. The enemy is destroying you, and you cannot even admit how. And still, the coal keeps moving. By the summer of 1943, something fundamental has changed inside the German railway system. It is not written in any order or regulation, but everyone feels it. The confidence is gone. Locomotive crews no longer joke around the firebox. Engineers stand back an extra second after shoveling coal, listening for sounds that should not be there. Yard supervisors begin watching their own workers more closely than the tracks. Every pile of coal becomes a question mark. Every routine task feels like a gamble. The war has found a way inside the engine itself. The German response grows harsher and more organised. Coal depots are fenced. Guards are posted day and night. Random searches increase. Railway workers are interrogated without warning. Entire crews are detained after an explosion, even when there is no evidence of wrongdoing. In occupied territories, suspicion turns brutal. Resistance activity is assumed, and reprisals follow quickly. But the cruelty does not solve the problem. And the weapon leaves no fingerprints, no wires, no obvious signs. It uses the enemy's own fuel against them, and that makes it almost impossible to fully stop. Engineers attempt technical solutions. New inspection rules are introduced. Coal is sometimes broken apart before loading, but this slows operations to an unacceptable level. The Reich already faces fuel shortages, material shortages, and constant Allied air attacks. Every extra hour spent inspecting coal means another delay at the front. Officers argue over priorities: speed versus safety, output versus caution. In the end, the trains keep moving because they have no choice. The explosions continue, scattered across geography and time. One day it is a freight train in Belgium. Another day it is a supply run deep inside Germany. Sometimes the blast kills the crew instantly. Sometimes it injures them so badly that they will never work again. In several documented cases, locomotives explode inside rail yards, damaging nearby engines and infrastructure. A single piece of fake coal can disable multiple trains at once, multiplying the chaos. The psychological shock spreads faster than the physical damage. What makes this weapon uniquely effective is how little it demands from those who use it. There is no need for combat skill, no need for escape routes or synchronized attacks. The resistance worker does not need to fight. He only needs to place one object and walk away. The risk is enormous, but the act itself is quiet, almost invisible. That quietness becomes its strength. The Germans can defend against bombs falling from the sky. They struggle to defend against something that looks exactly like what they rely on every day. Behind every successful act of sabotage is a human cost that never appears in reports. Railway workers live under constant threat. A single accusation can mean imprisonment or execution. Families disappear overnight. Entire communities are punished for acts carried out by one person whose name may never be known. And yet the resistance continues, not because it is easy, not because it is safe, but because the effect is undeniable. Trains stop, supplies vanish. The enemy bleeds strength without knowing where the knife is. By late 1943, the cumulative damage becomes impossible to ignore. Locomotive availability drops. Repair shops are overwhelmed. Spare parts are scarce. Trains are rerouted along longer paths to avoid perceived danger zones, increasing fuel consumption and wear. Frontline commanders complain about delays they cannot explain. Ammunition arrives late. Reinforcements miss their windows. The war does not turn on this weapon alone, but it bends subtly in the Allies' favour. What terrifies German planners most is that they never fully regain control. Even when coal inspections improve, even when security tightens, they cannot be sure the threat is gone. The weapon does not need to be used constantly to remain effective. The possibility alone is enough. Every boiler explosion, whether caused by sabotage or mechanical failure, reinforces the fear. The line between accident and attack blurs. Trust, once broken, is never fully repaired. As the war moves into 1944, the rail system faces pressure from every direction. Allied bombers strike yards and bridges. resistance attacks increase. And still, the fake coal remains part of the hidden war. It is not glamorous. It does not appear in propaganda films. There are no medals for the engineers who designed it, and no parades for the workers who risked their lives to place it. But its impact is woven quietly into the collapse of German logistics. When the war ends, many details remain classified or forgotten. The exact number of trains destroyed will never be known. Some estimates suggest hundreds of locomotives were directly destroyed by internal explosions linked to coal sabotage. Others argue the number, including damaged infrastructure and secondary effects, may approach 1,000. What is certain is that a weapon costing almost nothing compared to a locomotive caused damage far beyond its size. In the years after the war, military planners study the concept closely. The lesson is clear and unsettling. The most effective weapons are not always the largest or loudest. Sometimes they are the ones that exploit trust, the ones that hide in plain sight. The fake coal does not just destroy machines. It weaponizes routine. It turns habit into vulnerability. It proves that modern warfare is not only about firepower, but about understanding systems and quietly breaking them from the inside. Today, the story rarely appears in textbooks. It does not fit neatly into timelines of battles and treaties. But its legacy remains. It is studied in sabotage doctrine, intelligence training, and asymmetric warfare theory. The idea that you can cripple an enemy by attacking what they assume is safe has never gone away. It has only evolved. And if you imagine that frozen morning again, the steam rising, the engineer doing his job like he has done 100 times before, the horror of the weapon becomes clear. The train does not fail because of enemy fire. It fails because something trusted was turned against it. No warning, no defense. Just a sudden, violent end born from a single piece of false coal, quietly doing exactly what it was designed to do. The war was fought with tanks, planes, and armies. But sometimes it was fought with a lump of coal that was not coal at all. If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below.